This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Often as a culture, we say, oh, you're 18, off you go, you can take care of yourself.
Providing mental health care when young people need it the most. Tonight, we'll look into the growing demand for counseling and services on our college campuses and universities. Are schools getting the resources to properly address the problems students are having, and how could more funding make a difference in the lives of students? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on mental health services for college students coming up. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. For almost 2 years, and it seems like 10 for those of us who drive it every day, crews have been working on the interchange at University Parkway and I-75, and in just a few days, we'll see a big improvement. Starting Sunday, the new diverging diamond traffic pattern at the University Parkway interchange will go into effect. According to the Florida Department of Transportation, you may have seen it before. This new pattern not only will reduce conflict points, but reduce crashes as well. FDOT also says putting the new pattern into effect will be a major step.
We're looking at hopefully having all 5 lanes open underneath with the one innermost lane closed. We may only have 3 or 4 open, just depends on how much work we get done. We do have some weather coming, but we will be in the diverging diamond pattern.
From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. this Wednesday and Thursday, University Parkway westbound will be closed under I-75. Some more good news for drivers. Gas prices have now fallen for 23 consecutive days. The average price of fuel in Florida is now $2.32 a gallon. That's still higher than the same time last year. It is unusual for prices to drop in the spring, and AAA predicts they will trend upwards as Memorial Day approaches. Sarasota police are searching for firearms stolen during a series of car break-ins over the last 3 weeks. Officers say guns were stolen in separate incidents on Mike-Taw Drive on Friday and Bay Point Place in April. In both cases, the victims say there was no signs of forced entry, and they may have left their vehicles unlocked. Both handguns were loaded, and officers say if you have a gun stolen, report it as soon as possible.
It's really important that you report the gun stolen so that we can start an investigation, hopefully locate the gun, hopefully get them off the streets before they are used in a crime.
There have been more than 100 car burglaries in Sarasota since the start of the year. The advice from police is obvious: lock your vehicles. New developments in the triple murder trial of Andre Avalos in Manatee County. Today, prosecutors played a confession from Avalos in which he described the murders in detail. In it, Avalos claims his wife was having an affair, causing him to take revenge on her and their pastor, James Tripp Battle. He claims their neighbor, Denise Potter, was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and so he killed her as well. The defense claims Avalos is suffering from mental illness. A memorial is the only visible reminder of a traffic accident at the Venice Jetty last week, which took the lives of a father and daughter. Now, some in the community want to see a guardrail set up to prevent it from ever happening again. Last Monday, Eugene and Carol Hayden drove off the jetty and drowned as their van quickly sank into the Gulf. According to the city's mayor, residents have suggested a guardrail in the past, but it was never put on the agenda.
If this was truly an accident, chances of it happening again are very slight. If it was something that was intentional, you're never going to protect against that.
It's only happened one time. We're sorry it happened, but it would spoil all the view and everything.
While the jetty's south side is only blocked by some picnic tables and trees, the north side has pillars in the ground to stop cars from going into the Gulf. The Venice Police Department is hosting the annual memorial for officers across Florida who made the ultimate sacrifice. Today, representatives from agencies across the state honored the memories of 6 officers killed last year. This is the 32nd time the ceremony has been held. According to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, the number of officers killed in the line of duty has gone up each year since 2013. An update on the 3,500-acre rain tree fire in Northport. The Florida Forest Service said it is now 65% contained. Crews are still on the scene monitoring hot spots to keep them from reigniting. The fire began on Saturday and spread to the RV Griffin Preserve. Although the majority of the fire is now under control, smoke and ash will linger in the area for the next few days. And Bob, we are still in jeopardy as long as we have this dry spell.
That's right. And something interesting to note right now, Alan, the sea breeze front has really become quite active here, and there are showers and thunderstorms taking place. Let's go to the maps real quickly and show you what's been going on in the last hour or so. You can see that rain developing, especially into Sarasota County right now. This particular line is generating some lightning strikes right there near Northport, and unfortunately, they're occurring outside where the rain area is in some cases. So we'll have to keep an eye on that for the potential for other fires right now. And then there are Lakewood Ranch, we were seeing some lightning strikes there just recently, and also up into Manatee County. So Inglewood right now getting the moderate to heavy rainfall, a few lightning strikes just in the last half hour. You can see that working through Port Charlotte, and then eventually 776, and then through Inglewood and into South Venice, getting a little bit of rainfall there. I think more is on the way. And then Lakewood Ranch, get ready as this shower activity is moving in your direction. Pretty heavy, too. It's not just light rain. It's moderate to heavy rainfall. In fact, nearly 1.5 inches per hour rate, and that usually indicates a pretty good downpour. With the tops at 40,000 feet, you can bet you can have a chance for some lightning strikes, and that's what we're seeing. They have to be above 30 at least to start generating that lightning. And you can see that it's not much, but unfortunately it is occurring with some very dry air. We had some showers earlier near Parrish. Those have since moved on. This line in particular is moving off to the west, southwest, and those are some of the cities that it may have an impact on down the road if it maintains and holds itself together. So a little sign of things to come, too. We're in for a little bit more rainfall, so that'll be thankful. We'll be thankful about that coming up on Friday and into the weekend. More on that in a little bit.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, caring for our college students is supply meeting demand when it comes to mental health care on college campuses. We'll show you why some are calling on the state to provide more funding. The story when we return.
Fresh out of the box, the Alfa Romeo won us over. We went in skeptical and left in awe of this gorgeous machine. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Because my parents told me I have to be responsible.
Because my first coach told me, you can do this.
Because my boss showed me how to do a good job.
Because my teacher helped me see the choices.
I'm swimming faster than I ever dreamed.
I am a valuable employee.
I discovered that I could work as an artist.
I will be whatever I want to be.
Youth with disabilities should grow up expecting to work and succeed. For more information, visit whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
Today, the air is perfect. Inside. Expect more from your cooling and heating. Daikin.
It does things that seem impossible. Feeling like it could change direction while airborne. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
There's a lot of stress to go around these days, but think about this. All the stress college kids deal with, from academics to their social lives, and all too often colleges and universities have surprisingly few resources to help kids during some of the most pressure-packed days of their lives. ABC7's Adam Cellini has more.
For 25 years, Also Youth has made this office in Sarasota a safe haven for kids who identify as LGBTQ.
We have probably around 1,100 youth visits a year.
Donna Hanley's 22 years of experience counseling children and young adults comes in handy as the program's executive director.
So we see a lot of kids who have social anxiety, depression, general anxiety, suicide attempts.
Donna Hanley has about 85 kids on a roster right now, and Also Youth gets about 6 to 14 visits per day. But Hanley wonders who's going to be picking up that work once some of her kids leave for college. According to a survey of 275 North American colleges, 11% of college students sought counseling in 2014. Nicole Archer, who runs the Counseling and Wellness Center at New College, says her office serves about 40% of their student population, close to typical numbers for a smaller school.
If it's an emergency, then students are welcome to walk in and we get them in that same day, but typically we schedule it, and usually we are able to get people in within a week.
But even schools with 11 times more students, like nearby State College of Florida, have noticed a growing popularity for counseling.
We've seen an increase in the services over last year.
It's hard to tell if the number of mental disorders is growing or a stigma associated with mental health treatment is shrinking. But as author Robert Whitaker pointed out in a recent community meeting, the portion of kids entering college already taking antidepressants, sleep aids, and other psychotropic medications has risen to 26%.
What happens is that sort of creates a culture where people turn to prescription drugs really easily. They also trade prescription drugs. It helps create a drug culture in our colleges and universities.
And demand for treatment is outpacing supply. According to the State University System Board of Governors, 10 of the 12 schools they monitor are outside the recommended range of one staff member for every 1,500 students. New College is one of the few still managing. But as third-year student Julia Hayward points out, they have to set service limits.
Our school gives a maximum of credit hours to students, which is difficult because then it puts students in a situation where they'll max out the amount of hours that they're allowed to see somebody at the Counseling and Wellness Center.
Hayward says counselors helped her overcome the anxiety of school and other roles like student government.
Just being able to talk to someone for even just like an hour out of the week, it really helped to balance me.
The Board of Governors recommended $14.5 million be set aside in this year's budget to help develop mental health services among universities. And while lawmakers voted yes on more university funding, this particular boost didn't make it. Hanley likens the work with kids to building a suit of armor for the real world. But when that armor starts taking hits, she can only hope someone is there to mend it.
There's a gap a lot of times in service provision to the 18 and above group. I'd say between 18 and 25. You know, we often, as a culture, we say, oh, you're 18, you know, off you go, you can take care of yourself.
On the Suncoast, Adam Cellini, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
Coming up, what are local schools doing to help students, what to look for, and what more needs to be done? In a moment, we take it to the Trapezoid.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com for Chef Judy's favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Why settle for less? Get more for your money at Sunset Subaru in Sarasota. Nobody beats Subaru in service, quality, vehicle quality, and overall quality. And ALG named Subaru the 2017 top brand for residual value. Now lease the most fuel-efficient vehicle in its class, a new Subaru Outback for just $229 a month, or get 0% financing with complimentary maintenance included. Get more for your money. Go to Sunset Subaru in Sarasota.
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wanna Be Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabein.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Judy. Every Wednesday morning, I'll be with the chefs at the Publix Aprons Cooking School serving up the most wonderful dishes. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Welcome back. In a recent survey, almost 70% of college administrators identified mental health as their top concern when it comes to students. According to a 2016 report from the Center of Collegiate Mental Health, enrollment at colleges and universities around the U.S. is up 5.6%, but the number of students seeking mental health services is up by nearly 30% over the year before. The problem is, in many cases, schools aren't keeping up with the demand. In fact, one Florida school, the Florida Coastal School of Law in Jacksonville, is doing away with mental health services just in time for final exams, citing a lack of resources. And joining us for more on tonight's topic is Keith Fitzgerald, a political science professor at New College of Florida, Jamie Smith, the director of communications and marketing at State College of Florida, and Dr. Angela Steranko, a clinical psychologist specializing in children and adolescents. She is the founder of Fundamental Psychology in Venice. Thank you all for joining us today. And Keith, we usually have you on arguing politics, but your day job is a college professor, and you deal with this every day.
Yeah, and it's nice to talk about my day job for a change, where I can represent the institution. It's an ordinary feature of life that you have to learn how to deal with stress. New College is a very demanding academic environment, and so there's nothing surprising about people dealing with stress. But I do think that there have been changes in the way that society deals with kids and young people these days that make the stressors even greater. And so, as in my job as an academic counselor, I'm not a psychologist, but it's very frequently the case that academic problems become necessarily bleed over into counseling issues, and so we have to deal with it all the time.
And I imagine sometimes it's obvious to you, and sometimes you don't even see it coming.
Right, and one of the things you have to deal with is sometimes people disappear, so they deal with stress by simply avoiding human contact and hiding out, and you may not even realize there is a problem until it's actually gotten into an academic situation that's very difficult to fix.
So Jamie, how do you deal with that as a college and university? I mean, you have limited resources, and as Keith said, there are students who are having, different kinds of stress now than they ever had before.
Well, at State College of Florida, we have what we call a care team that helps to promote the wellness of students. We, in addition to having a team with limited resources, we promote the resources that are available to students throughout the college, and a lot, to make sure they're aware that there are resources available to them. They can either talk, which again, there's that concern about being able to be confidential, so they can raise awareness with the resources we have available, or they can call or email the resources confidentially. And they can see people on campus or off campus.
How do you deal with, as we reported, that the number of enrolled students is going up, but the number of those seeking counseling is going up even quicker?
Well, right now we've been able to handle those students at our institution through our care team. If and when we see the resources dwindling, we'll address those and increase our resources, or make sure that if we don't have those resources, we somehow make them available to students.
Right. And Angela, you're in a unique situation because you have dealt with students as affiliated with, I believe, State College, but you have also done this in your private practice. So you are seeing these students before, during, and after they were on the college campus. How has this changed over the last years?
So I think it's interesting where in my private practice I can kind of pick up where a lot of on-campus resources leave off. If there's limited resources or a limited level of training, that I'm able to really do more intensive or more long-term therapy with students who need that extra help and that more intensive work outside of classes.
And this is not a new phenomenon. I remember, I dare say, a while back when I went off to college, some of my high school friends, they had difficulties adjusting to being away from home. That's a big part of it. But do you see this more often now than years ago?
I don't know if it's that it's happening more often, but I think there's maybe, or I hope that there's a little bit more awareness about it, that transition from living with our parents and having them oversee our day-to-day or be involved in our life, and then going to really independently having to manage your schedules, having to organize yourself and kind of get things planned out for yourself. That can sometimes be a lot and be pretty overwhelming.
And Keith, you mentioned that to me yesterday, that when you're in high school, it's a very structured environment, and then when you go off to college, you're on your own and you need to be more responsible.
Right, and actually I think that the culture of people seeking out help when they realize they need it is a step in the right direction, not in the wrong direction. But we do have highly structured environments and highly pressurized environments for kids in high school, where they have huge number of assignments, lots of rubrics, lots of hoops to jump through, outside activities. They go off to college and the professor says, hey, you know, we have 2 exams and you have an assignment at the end, and they say, well, okay, what do I do? And you say, well, you've got to figure out what to do. And that is such a leap, it causes a lot of anxiety.
And Jimmy, we only have about 30 seconds left, but does, for instance, State College have a system to guide students through that process before it gets to the point that they're having real serious problems?
Like he mentioned, we look for signs to signal that a student is struggling and try to pull them in and help them before it gets too far where they won't succeed.
Okay, we are just getting started with this conversation. We'll pick it up right after we check our forecast.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks in ICU. He went through seizures.
We'd much rather have Aaron like this than dead. A lot of parents don't have that luxury.
He can't talk. He can't walk. This is a condition Aaron will live with for the rest of his life because he abused prescription pills.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
A promise was made, a promise that hit the beaches of Normandy, a vow that captured Iwo Jima, a contract that weathered Tet, a pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq, an IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
You only have one life. Are you gambling with it? 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure. Not knowing your numbers could cause you to lose, big time. Luckily, you can turn the odds in your favor by getting your blood pressure checked today. Don't leave your health to chance. Learn more at heart.org/HPB.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Our discussion of college students and mental health treatment continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Alan, something happening right now that we haven't had in a long time, a large area of rainfall moving through parts of the Suncoast. It's producing some lightning strikes. That's the downside of this rain, and especially this time of year. It's so dry out there that the lightning can sometimes smolder where it's moved overhead. And you can see that in Lakewood Ranch right there. The rain already starting to move through parts of Lakewood Ranch, mainly the southern portion of that area. You can see the rain all kind of developing along the sea breeze front. The east coast wind made it all the way over to the west coast. That sea breeze was kind of parked right there. and that's where all the line of showers and storms now are developing, producing some fairly impressive lightning strikes, especially just south of Lakewood Ranch near Laurel Oak and also Heritage Harbor, as well as now moving close to the Meadows. This is the forecast. We're projecting off toward the west-southwest over the next hour or so, and it should be into Venice at around 8:07 and into Osprey around 8:21. Again, bringing lightning with it and some pretty heavy downpours, 1.54 inches of rain per hour. That's the rate at which it's falling right now, and that's pretty heavy and significant. Right now, we'll zero in and some of the street level roads, and you can see Fruitville Road, I-75, some heavy rainfall, tough driving all the way up to Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, and then Lake Sarasota, Laurel Oak, again near Bent Tree, some heavy rainfall. And then down south, this line producing a lot of lightning heading off toward Venice here and should be there fairly quickly. Our rain chances will be increasing, not just tonight, but looks like in the foreseeable future. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to see a little trough of low pressure move in from the Bahamas. On top of that, a little west coast sea breeze developing. The two shall meet right there over South Florida and bring with it a good chance for showers and a few thunderstorms on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 86 right now, but temperatures will be falling as that rain moves on in. The humidity now at 59%. The high today tied a record 94 degrees set back in 1994. This morning's low was 71. Both those numbers are summer-like, and we need to add to the rainfall deficit. We're at 9.2 inches below average so far for the year. The wind flow will be out of the east-southeast to start the day on Wednesday. A little west coast sea breeze once again developing in the afternoon, so there'll be that chance for a few late-day showers developing in the afternoon on Wednesday and Thursday. But as I alluded to, a much better chance coming in on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. East winds will start off a bit breezy, tapering off somewhat in the afternoon and switching around to the southwest. Seas running 2 to 3 feet with a moderate chop out there. The water temperature now at 83 degrees, and expect beaches to get up to about 88. The low tide upcoming 12:32 and a high at 7:29 tomorrow morning. Low tide will be at 11:09 and sunset at 8:12. Tonight, scattered showers, a few thunderstorms up until about 9 o'clock, and then partly cloudy afterwards, patchy fog developing. Tomorrow, mostly sunny in the morning, a few clouds, and a few storms in the afternoon. We could see another record high tomorrow as a result of this east to southeasterly wind component. Rain chances really starting to peak up a bit on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then back to the slight chance on Monday and Tuesday. Alan will be back with the panel right after this. Stick around.
I am a veteran. My victory was finding the strength to be a champion.
My victory is having a job I can be proud of.
At DAV, we help veterans get the benefits they've earned.
My victory was finishing my education.
My victory was getting help to put our lives back together.
DAV provides veterans with a lifetime of support.
My victory is being there for my family.
Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline. If you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death, you must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Drive into Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota and discover big savings during the Drive and Discover event. Come shop the Suncoast's largest selection of Ram trucks. Get maximum cargo space and more comfort with a new Ram Quad Cab for as low as $24,999. Or get more legroom and maximum comfort with a new Ram Crew Cab and save up to $10,000. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing the availability of mental health counseling and treatment for college students in Florida. Our guests tonight are Keith Fitzgerald of New College, Jamie Smith of State College of Florida, and Dr. Angela Steranko, a clinical psychologist at Fundamental Psychology. Let me read you all something that was in USA Today and get you to comment on it. Today's college students are more diverse than ever, more students from low-income backgrounds, more students who identify as minorities or are LGBT, and this means that students are entering college with more diverse needs. Do you see this, and does this result in the fact that you're treating a more diverse population and more diverse problems?
Mm-hmm. Well, as you can imagine, I mean, we have a lot of students on our campus, and if you people watch, so to speak, we're an open access institution, so we get a diverse range of students, and it's very interesting to see the type of students that come on campus. And you're right, their needs are varied. Anything from anxiety to stress to a different variety of needs they might have are presented on campus. So you have to be willing to address the diverse needs. But there is a lot of interesting characteristics that come with students who are creative, who are scientific, who are focusing on math. You just see the wide variety of those students.
Keith, how prepared are faculty to deal with this? Because you're not trained psychologists or therapists, but you are in many respects first responders.
Well, New College is a very exceptional place because we're very small, and students have more one-on-one contact with faculty members than just about any institution I can think of. So we're in a better position in a sense to sort of see where academic problems relate to other issues. On the other hand, we're not trained professionals. We can't refer, we don't diagnose. We just have to be attentive to when somebody is becoming self-defeating in ways that suggest that maybe they need to talk to a professional.
Is it your responsibility to refer them or to help get a professional?
No, our responsibility is to deal with their academic issues, but increasingly you should be mindful that in some cases that means this is somebody who can get some help. And so I always encourage any student to go to the counseling center and get some help. And I disagree with the setup guy who talked about drug culture. I think part of teaching people to be resilient is to learn how to avail themselves of the resources that are available to them to address the issues they have.
So Angela, what do you do in situations like that? I mean, there may be students out there who are trading prescriptions, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, college kids do things that may not be advisable.
Right. I think a lot of times students are kind of grasping at straws when they feel overwhelmed. They're not sure. They either aren't aware of the resources available, or there are some barriers kind of preventing them from accessing them. Either some stigmas about mental health and counseling, or some kind of resistance to accepting that they've maybe failed or not done as well in a certain setting as they hoped they would. So oftentimes they don't come to see me until after things have already progressed to the point where grades are impacted. The family has become aware, you know, people are having to step in. So I think ideally it would be great to have a little bit more of that awareness and reaching out to students who are deemed at risk potentially.
And see, at State College of Florida, that's exactly why we established what we call the CARE team. It's to consult, assess, resources, and educate. But part of what we do is we actually do refer. We train our educators to say, are they showing signs and symptoms of somebody who might be in need? And we might refer them to a resource, whether it be internal or external, again, depending on the student. And we've created a program that's called Safe Harbor, which basically any student that's in need, it provides for their well-being, whether it be mental health, Title IX, or any other issue. We're trying to capture those issues before it gets too far where they can't be successful in the academic world.
Right, and I'm wondering, what about in terms of resources, in terms of the state? You know, one of the things, and we talk about this on this broadcast a lot, that Florida is 49th in the entire nation in terms of spending on mental health issues. Does that, you know, become more problematic in terms of the funding at the university level, in terms of the resources that are coming from the state?
Well, so remember, the governor has on his desk a bill that actually increases funding for higher education. So those of us who are working in that are happy about that.
But as Adam pointed out, mental health funding is
right.
not included.
There was a piece in there at the request of the Board of Governors to add some money for this. It didn't get through. I think the awareness is there now, and it might in the future. One thing I think you also have to remember, the social scientist in me, is that we focus on college students as having these kinds of issues, partly because we have institutions in place to deal with them. In the population at large, other people are going undiagnosed and unnoticed.
Right, and not the schools that you were all associated with, but I remember back in my days in working in Boston, I did a major investigative report after a terrible incident at Harvard, which does not want for anything in terms of resources, but there was an attitudinal situation there where they weren't providing adequate mental health resources because they figured that if you're at Harvard, you're there for a reason. Have the attitudes, Angela, you've seen in terms of local colleges and universities changed over the years, that something that may not have been taken seriously before is now?
Well, I think unfortunately, because we've had a lot of instances that have come to light and we've had a lot of safety concerns or different difficulties come up at schools, I hope that schools are more aware that it is something that's vital. Obviously, I'm a big advocate of mental health, so I'd hope that it's something that's kind of brought to light a little bit more, the stigma gets reduced, and we're able to have the resources available to the students at the lower level. You know, early on, the teachers are kind of the first line of defense, you know, different administrators and things along those lines, hopefully being able to identify.
And I would imagine the student population is key if they see somebody who is either hurting or struggling for kids to speak up.
Yeah, we have a program, See Something, Say Something, and we actually plaster these pamphlets all over the campuses, three of our campuses, so that students know that it's okay if you see something, say something, and that's related to all regards of whether, again, it's sexual assault, domestic violence, mental health concerns. We want our students to say something and seek help, and to create a peer mentoring system to let their peers know that it's okay to seek help. You know, and speak to the regard that don't stereotype it, don't create a stigma. Be okay with speaking out and speaking up, because you can get the help you need.
And we only have a few seconds left, but Angela, do you see kids more willing to ask for help these days?
At least in my practice, yes. You know, I see that kids are reaching out, they're acknowledging it to their parents, they're talking about what therapists they meet with and what therapists their friends meet with. It's a little bit less of a stigmatizing topic, and I think that's a great direction to be able to go, because even people who are functioning really well can always work with improving things.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, funding for opioid addiction treatment.
The official Suncoast Storm team at ABC7. We're here for you.
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wanna Be Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabein.com.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Dotoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
It's no small wonder anybody loves it all.
I just love art that moves me.
No small,
I mean, really moves me.
wonder.
Sunset Fiat of Sarasota presents No Small Wonder. High performance style. Let the art of Fiat move you.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job. I am Goodwill, yeah.
Welcome back. Should we be doing more to attend to the mental health needs of our college students? Would more funding from the state make a difference? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Keith, from your perspective, the answer is?
I think we want students to be self-reliant and responsible, but part of the way you do that is teaching them to avail themselves of the resources they have at their disposal to address whatever kinds of problems they might have.
Jamie, do you feel that State College has enough resources coming from the state to handle the number of students who need this help?
Well, I mean, honestly, you can always use more resources when you're dealing with something as complicated and difficult as mental health or mental illness. But what I would encourage the students and folks to do is reach out to the resources that are available, whether it's at our institution or through local psychologists or other institutions. But find the resources available. Don't get caught up in the stigma and stereotypes. Seek out resources, get the help you need, and if possible, encourage your legislators to give more support.
Angela, the one question I didn't ask is, what are parents to do? In some cases, the parents are nearby. In other cases, they're in another state.
Right.
And may not be fully aware of what's going on with their kids.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's tough because it does kind of limit your options of how do you provide support for your child who's maybe in another state. I think it's more about reaching out to whatever resources are available. I think starting with the college's first line of defense, but then also trying to do research, trying to make sure that whatever counselor or psychologist or psychiatrist you're seeking out is a good fit, specializes in the area that you need help with. Because regardless of privilege, upbringing, home life.
Well, let me ask one last question, because in some of my reading on this, the issue at some schools have been that there is a fee for service for mental health services, whether it's on or off campus, and what do you do in that case?
Well, in many instances, the providers we work with, or if we're able to, there's a sliding fee scale which makes it affordable based on the student or the parent's income, overall income. So they can do a sliding fee scale, or that fee may be waived if there are resources available. But in all times, we try to provide those services because it shouldn't be limited to only those who can afford it.
Okay, we have to leave it there. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, funding for opioid treatment. Opioid overdose is now the leading cause of accidental death in the United States for people between the ages of 25 and 64, higher than car crashes. Florida is getting $27 million in federal funds to combat the epidemic. It comes after Governor Scott declared a state of emergency. However, the GOP health bill eliminates the addiction treatment mandate for states choosing to expand Medicaid. Meanwhile, millions of people could lose access to care that could save their lives, and here is what some of you are saying. Melissa Catherine writes, they choose to do it. They should pay for treatment if they decided to get help and really want to get clean. It's not everyone else's responsibility to pay for their poor choices. Brittany Carroll writes, if someone's suffering from withdrawal with no help, they will get so sick of feeling horrible that they will do anything for a high, stealing, robbery, etc. Letting addicts do this on their own will never work. And Kevin Kumango writes, more than 50,000 people died from opioid overdose in 2016. That's like all the casualties from the Vietnam War happening every year. Is this the time to be cutting funding? What do you think about the mental health care available to college students? Did you get counseling or treatment in school? Join the conversation by visiting our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, you can watch past roundtable discussions. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. Keith Fitzgerald is a professor of political science at New College of Florida. Jamie Smith is director of communications and marketing at State College of Florida. And Dr. Angela Starenko is a clinical psychologist specializing in children and adolescents. She is the founder of Fundamental Psychology in Venice. When we return, controversy continues in Washington, but investors don't appear to be shaken by it. We'll have a look at the market, plus hunting the invasive Burmese python draws people from all walks of life to the Everglades, including our lieutenant governor. We'll have the details in our primetime headlines.
Today, the air is perfect. Inside. Expect more from your cooling and heating. Daikin.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get Debt-Free Now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
Recent headlines out of Washington seem to be getting more and more scandalous. You'd think the controversy from the White House, the possible overhaul of government health care, and rising tensions with foreign adversaries would create uncertainty in the stock market, but that has just been the opposite. In fact, the NASDAQ is hitting all-time highs. So who can explain what is going on? ABC7 business commentator Richard Stern is here to take a crack at it. Having said that, Richard, there is kind of a stall in the stock market right now.
There's no question the market's big up move was from election day until early February, and then things have been more sideways than that. But you just mentioned the NASDAQ hitting a new high, the S&P also hit a new high. And I think the thing that I find most interesting is there is a complete disconnect, or appears to be, between what's happening in Washington and what's happening on Wall Street.
Well, let's take that one step at a time. It is amazing in terms of that disconnect. Historically, has that been the case, or has the market been more reactive to news of the day?
I think I got started in this business in the 70s, and in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, we were all about two things: earnings and dividends. If companies reported good earnings, the stock went up. If they increased their dividend, the stock went up. I think in the year 2000 and forward, we became much more news-oriented, some of it perhaps with the media becoming much more 24/7, but we have become less of it since Mr. Trump took over, and I'm not sure I can answer why, but there's certainly a real good example. Last night I was getting ready to go to sleep, and I turned on the news, and there's breaking news everywhere that perhaps, allegedly, the president has released classified information. Well, in the 70s, that would have taken the market down 500 points. Today, we open up 50.
The obvious question is, how long can this go on? At what point does the market start reacting to increasing concern about the stability of the White House and the actions of the president?
Well, I think that's a very fair question, and I think the answer has to do with what might this president be able to get done. A lot of people still are looking at the tax package and hoping that it's going to be very beneficial to corporations in terms of lowering their tax rate, perhaps in terms of expatriating money back to the U.S. So a lot of things are going on Wall Street that are extremely positive, really without any respect to what's going on, but the Congress has to act with the president. The president can't do it all by himself.
Well, that was the issue about if Congress is so focused on everything that's happening in Washington and the drama that is going on down there, and they are not concentrating on moving that agenda forward, at some stage is the market going to catch up to that concern?
Yes, because that's a distraction that can't go on forever. At some point, they have to address what most people think are the two most important things, and that is health care and taxation.
And briefly, there are some earnings that are coming out or that are not favorable, and that does have the market concerned?
Well, I think it's still about earnings, and I know I say that every time I'm with you, but Home Depot this morning announced terrific earnings. The stock is up, and expectedly so. Last week, Macy's, and we all know what's going on in retail, but Macy's fell 17% in one day because their earnings simply are not there. Their same-store sales are down. They're closing stores, et cetera. So it's really a one-by-one.
Stay tuned. Richard Stern is our business commentator for ABC7 News. He joins us every other week with a check on the market. Your primetime headlines are coming up right after this break.
Invest in Kids is a $7.5 million project to build a new Boys and Girls Club in South Manatee County. I'm Caleb Grimes, and I was a club kid. It's where I learned important life lessons, leadership, integrity, responsibility, and baseball. Thousands of kids attend the Boys and Girls Clubs, and after years of use, their club is slowly falling apart. Help us invest in kids. Make your donation today.
Thank you. I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112. For a free brochure, call 1-800-962-4112.
Come on in, welcome to our pad. Trust me, folks, you're in for a ride. I'm driving, so relax. Unwind, leave your buckets all behind. Get ready to blow your mind. In Beatsville, don't be shy. Come and make the scene. Catch the crazy party inside. The hipsters here are gone. And dig, man, they're on to something big. Yeah, they're gonna flip your wig in Beatsville. Catch the gig in Beatsville.
Drive into Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota and discover big savings during the Drive and Discover event. Come shop the Suncoast's largest selection of new Jeep Wranglers, or stop by today and drive away in a 2017 Jeep Cherokee for just $18,999. And for a limited time, get America's best value, a new Dodge Journey for as little as $16,599. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
Now for our primetime headlines, we begin with a breaking story out of Washington. The New York Times is reporting President Trump asked former FBI Director James Comey to end the investigation into General Michael Flynn. The Times says Comey made the claim in a memo back in February about a meeting that allegedly took place the day after Flynn resigned as National Security Advisor. Flynn misled Vice President Mike Pence and other White House officials about his conversations with the Russian ambassador prior to taking office. The ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee says it is time for Comey to share what he knows with Congress.
I think we know enough now. There's been enough alleged publicly to want to bring the director back to testify, ideally in open session, either before our committee or the Judiciary Committee, but he should come back to the Congress and share what he knows in terms of the president's conversations with him on any of the Russia investigation.
The White House is denying the report. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is defending the reported release of highly classified information to Russian officials. The National Security Advisor calls it wholly appropriate. However, lawmakers on Capitol Hill and U.S. allies are demanding answers. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest from Washington.
President Trump
Did you reveal classified information to the Russians, sir?
repeatedly asked as he hosted Turkey's president.
No comment on whether you shared classified intelligence with the Russians.
The White House downplaying the Washington Post report that Trump told Russia's foreign minister and ambassador highly classified intelligence about an ISIS plot in Syria. Trump, who tweeted that it was his absolute right to share facts pertaining to terrorism, finally offering this on-camera response.
We had a very, very successful meeting with the foreign minister of Russia, and we want to get as many to help fight terrorism as possible.
The president's national security advisor says he did not jeopardize national security or hurt intelligence relationships with allies. An official briefed on the matter tells ABC News the sensitive intelligence came from Israel.
It's wholly appropriate for the president to share whatever information he thinks is necessary to advance the security of the American people.
Mixed reaction from Republicans.
I'm going to wait until I get a briefing from a secured briefing on it before I make any statements.
GOP Senator John McCain called the reports deeply disturbing. Democrats are demanding to see a transcript of the meeting.
If it was unwitting, that would be pathetic and dangerous. If it was intentional, that would even be, I don't know what's worse.
The House Intelligence Committee already had a briefing on the books with the director of the CIA today, but more members of Congress want to hear from the White House on what was said in Trump's meeting with the Russians. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
New developments in the investigation into that massive cyber attack. Cybersecurity researchers now believe it could be linked to North Korea. The ransomware, known as WannaCry, infected nearly 300,000 computers in more than 150 countries. The code behind it is similar to one used by North Korea to attack international banks last year. A British IT expert who found a kill switch to halt the virus is also being hailed as a hero tonight.
And I didn't intend for it to sort of blow up and me to be all over the media. I was just sort of doing my job, and I don't really think that I'm a hero.
There's still no official attribution of who was behind the most recent attack. Investigators say it could be someone else using the North Korean code. Florida's Department of Health is ordering the medical marijuana dispensary Trulieve to halt sales of a product that could be potentially smoked. The company began selling its first whole flower cannabis product earlier this month. It is meant to be for vaping. However, the bud can also be used in joints, pipes, bongs. Vaping is allowed under state law, but smoking is not. Trulieve CEO says the company had warned patients their product should be used for vaping only. Florida's lieutenant governor is joining python hunters in the Everglades. Carlos Lopez Cantera went hunting last night with one of the 25 hunters hired by the state to capture or kill the invasive snakes. Apparently, Lieutenant Governor caught a 15-foot 4-inch python. The state pays hunters a minimum wage to go after the snakes. Florida's python killing pilot program ends in June. That's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.